Bill Has Opinions is filmed in front of a live studio audience.
Hey! Fantastic. And let me get out of this for a second. I'm very clumsy with this today. Where are we? Where are we? Okay. Welcome to another episode of Bill Has Opinions. One day I'll get this screenshot out of the way. Where Bill Has Opinions, a deep dive into the mind of Generation X. I am Laura Lavoie, and of course I am joined, as always, by Bill Perkins, who has opinions. Hey, Bill, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good today. Yeah,
good. What are you drinking?
Rocket Girl from Asheville Brewing Company right now. Got a Brevard American Premium Lager on deck after that. So,
Ooh, that sounds delicious.
Just keeping it
Brevard
light.
Brewing is pretty good. I haven't been there in forever. Yeah?
Yeah, just keeping it light today. You have the Blake's Rainbow
I have
Secret.
a special guest star. Yes. So when we were talking about Blake cider last week, and I was super excited because this literally was like an actual apple orchard, pressed apple cider place, and apparently they started making their own hard cider. Rainbow Seeker is pineapple sage, and it was brought to us by our friend Jay, and friend of the show. Everybody loves Jay, and that's the name of the show. That's Jay's show. Everybody loves Jay. And it's actually really, really good. It's super tasty. It's perfectly tropical, and it's delicious, and I like it. Oh, and I have on deck, though, he also brought this, the cucumber lime goza, which I know you did not like.
I didn't care for it.
I like it, but I like cucumber beverages. I don't like eating cucumbers because it's a texture thing, but I like the flavor of cucumber.
I don't like the flavor either, but I thought the flavor was going to be overpowered by the lime and the sour. And that's really tart. It's the tartiest goza I've ever had. However, it's like, wow, here's some tart, and wham, here's some cucumber. That's what it tastes like. It's like here's the sourest cucumber you ever had.
Wham, just like that. But we are not talking about beers today, although we do like shows where we talk about beers, and we will have more shows about beers in the future. But today's topic, for those tuning in at home, which I encourage people to binge watch all 17 previous episodes of Bill Has Opinions to work their way up to the show. But today's episode is binge watching.
Not binge drinking.
Now, the reason we decided to do this is that not binge drinking. No, that is a bad idea. Don't do that. Yes, do not the opinions expressed on Bill Has Opinions. Anyway, don't try that at home. But so the reason that I picked binge watching, I wanted to do binge watching, is because I haven't had cable for like a really long time, and you didn't for a really long time either, although you have a service now. But so the only way I can watch shows is to binge watch or wait until something's on demand. So I do a lot of binge watching. And you have also expressed on the show before that you'll ask me if I've watched a show, and I'm like, oh yeah, I binge watched that like 7 weeks ago. And you're like, what? How do you watch all that TV? So we thought we'd explore the topic. That is often the case. That is true.
What we're talking about this is if you name a show, Laura's already watched it, or she's watched enough of it to decide she's not watching it. One or the other.
Yes, that is often the case. So I want to hear your opinions, Bill. That's what you do. That's your job. What are your opinions? Give me a monologue. Give me a thing about binge watching. What are your thoughts?
The thing I used to do a lot of when it first, when the whole streaming services, actually pre-streaming service, because prior to streaming services, we used to torrent things, as you'll recall, right? No, we didn't really, but
yes.
And I was the kind of person, like, I wasn't. It was so funny. My wife's uncle would be like, "Oh, hey, the next season of Downton Abbey's hitting PBS tonight," and I'd be like, "Yeah, but it hit my computer 6 months ago, so I'm like, listen,
exactly.
there's a thing that's already dropped on the other side of the pond. I'm not going to wait around for 6 months for it to come here. It's like it's on the internet. I can have it now. So, so I had already watched all of Downton Abbey. You know what I mean? Like I was caught up on that nonsense already. So that's what we used to do prior to streaming services. But then streaming services came out, and we were actually. Oh, this is the thing because we were throwing this trivia question out to you guys because me and Laura prior to the show were talking and we're trying to figure out like what was the first show that the streaming services decided to drop the entire season the first night. I'm not talking about a rerun. Like we saw that like people used to watch Battlestar Galactica and Breaking Bad, in one fell swoop. But those were shows that aired previously on another network. I'm talking about what was the first streaming service original that dropped. And they gave you the entire season that first night, and you stayed up for a day and a half and watched it all. I don't remember what it was now. I mean, I want to say, like, I don't know. I felt like I did that with Daredevil, and something else. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah, I remember doing that with the Marvel shows when they first came out.
Right. But I don't remember even how long ago that all started. I guess it probably was a long time ago because there were like 3 or 4 seasons of all of them. It's longer ago than I thought it was.
Right.
If you look it up, it'll make me feel old. But But no, so that's
exactly.
I used to stream a lot like that. Like that was the thing I would do. I would sit there and I'd watch I'd watch at least 3 or 4 episodes before I went to bed of a show. And for the most part, I've kind of weaned myself off of that. Something because I've learned I want a meter. Like you're not going to get another season right now. You're not going to get another season. God knows when, right? Like all the TV that you're ever going to get is already been
now, especially.
so it's real hard for me to want to just sit there and just like waste it all in one fell swoop because I'm like, well, So like with Ozark, sometimes it depends on how deep. Like something like Ozark where I got to chew on it. And I was that way with Breaking Bad, honestly. I don't want to watch like 2 episodes of Breaking Bad in a row because I usually have to chew on that for a minute. That's messed up, man. I got to think about that,
Right? I'm actually watching Breaking Bad now for the first time, and I can't watch more than an episode at a time.
Yeah.
And usually like several days have to go between the next episode.
Well, so I took actually almost a month to finish the last season of Ozark for the same reason because, like, I'd watch that and I need a day or 2 to think about it and process it. And usually I want a palate cleanser after I watch an episode. Like, I have to have like a comedy on deck, that I can watch and just be like, I need to get that out of my head before I go to bed, or So, but
yeah, no, absolutely.
So I used to, I guess, like there were shows that I used to like binge watch, and I can't say that I used to because I just did. I just binge watched Umbrella Academy season 2 in 3 days. Like I watched all of that. It's done. It's in the can. I've already watched, But now I have to wait till God knows when to ever find out what happens. And that's one of those shows where like okay, so this is what I'm gonna say about binge watching. This is how they get you to binge watch. It's any show that does this thing where every episode ends with a question, like where you have more questions at the end of the show than you did at the beginning, you will probably, that's when you're tempted to keep watching, right? And that's what happened.
Yes,
that's what happened with Umbrella Academy.
Which is what binge watching did to us.
I guess that's true. They might even tailor them that way now. Like they've learned to make shows a little more.
Oh yeah, they.
I mean,
yeah, and then they autoplay, so you don't even think about it.
It's true. It's just like every 5th episode, it's like, are you still watching? And I have to look over and see is my wife asleep? Is she asleep yet? Okay. Well, if she's asleep, I'll say no. I'm not watching anymore. And then tomorrow we'll have to discuss where to sleep at and how much I have to rewatch.
Yeah.
But, So that's where I'm at with like binge watching. For the most part, I'm against it anymore because I like meter things, and like I said, especially in these unprecedented times when I don't know when the next season of anything's going to come out. Like, why rush to get to the end? but at the same time, some stuff will still get me like that. And I will say, we binge watched Parks and Rec recently. Like I want to say we started that like probably like the second month of quarantine. Around March or so, we started watching the Parks and Rec, and that actually it ran long enough that we could actually make do with that for a minute. Like it actually was a thing that we were able to. It just ended like this week. We finally finished it up, and I was surprised at how long we were able to do that, binging it, because we were watching between 3 and 5 episodes a night every night. But comedies are shorter, so I figured it'd be over like quicker than I thought. So I kept, every time I went to another season, I was like, wow, this is still going and it's actually still entertaining. It didn't outlive its welcome like some shows that run more than
exactly.
that run, usually like once you get more than 7 seasons, like you're kind of getting like, you're treading on thin ice now, like it's going to get sucky.
Right. So speaking of, you'll say that first though.
I'll say that.
But I'll say this. You can say that.
I'm going to say that. So I watch a lot of British shows. I love British shows. But you know how British shows are like a season is like three shows and and then they'll end it after 2 seasons. They'll just be like, well, that's that. We've wrapped it up, and you'll get like 2 seasons of a Christmas special if you're lucky.
Yep.
And that it on one hand, like it leaves you wanting for more, but on the other hand, I'm like, wouldn't you rather be wanting for more than go, well, that outlived its welcome? That's how I feel.
I completely agree, and I like British shows too. I like them because they're completely wrapped up. Like it told the story is good. We're done with the story now, and it's usually very well done.
Right.
Because of the way British TV is sold to the network, it's very different than US TV.
No, well, the British they make their money when the Americans buy the adaptation of it. Whoever the creator was, then gets
exactly.
The American version runs for 11 seasons.
Exactly. Well, it's funny that you specifically mention quarantine binge watching, because we went through the same thing, back in March, and I really wanted to watch something that was really light and nice, and even something that I had watched before. I'm fine with that. So Matt and I made a deal. We each picked a show that one of us that we had seen that the other one hadn't, and then we've been watching that since. And he doesn't binge watch like I do, so we don't watch a ton of episodes at a time. And then we intersperse other stuff into because something new comes out. But my pick was Psych, which is 8 seasons of a fun Scooby-Doo kind of romp. Matt picked Breaking Bad. So we're taking a while to get through Breaking Bad. It's thick. It's good, but it's thick. Like, it's not Psych. But I need Psych in between to get through Breaking Bad because it's a lot.
Breaking Bad gets dark. It's really dark.
It's a lot to chew.
It's a lot to chew on. Yeah, exactly.
Really dark, really fast.
I want to say it's very funny to me too how dark Breaking Bad is, but then how kind of goofy the spinoff Better Call Saul is. You know what I mean? Like it's not entirely goofy. Like it's still got its dark side, but it's not the same level of deep and dark that Breaking Bad was, because it's not about a person slow. Well, I mean, I guess it is, but it's not really, not the same level of this person. Like,
well, and you, as far as I know, the outcome already because it's essentially a prequel. So at least as far as I know, I have not watched all of Better Call Saul because I haven't, but I have seen some Better Call Saul, and I freaking love Bob Odenkirk. So I have watched a few episodes of that. I like that alternative comedy, that like funny comedy, like Mr. Show. So they brought him on, and I was like, "Yep, I can watch that."
Yeah. Sorry, somebody.
So, and to the trivia question,
we're open.
Somebody just keeps calling. It's Netflix calling. So Google failed us to find the answer to our trivia question. But gave us some ideas of what the first show might have been. I think, Bill, you found that Transparent, which I believe was an Amazon original, might have been one of the first. And Orange is the New Black on.
Yeah.
And Orange is the New Black on Netflix, which I know I've never watched actually, but
you didn't watch that?
Just didn't feel like my kind of thing.
Huh?
I did not. Maybe I will eventually, but
I will say it's a roller coaster ride. That show, yeah. It's got its moments of like the first couple seasons you watch it and you think it's just a good time, but I will say the last 2 seasons there's some bit of trying to get through it and maintain your sanity because it gets dark. I mean, obviously, like being in prison is not an ideal situation for people. So it makes that bad things happen. But there's a Australian similar kind of thematically similar show about women in prison in Australia called Wentworth, I think, and my wife started binge watching that one, and I watched I think the first season, but that one was way, way, way darker than Breaking Bad. Like Breaking Bad has its moments of comedy and its moments of just kind of like almost like a British show where it's like it's not quite comedy and it's not quite drama. It's like life and there's good and bad, But Wentworth is just pure like terror inside of a prison is what it's like, So that one I don't recommend anybody.
Right.
Not awfully bad.
Don't binge watch that.
Yeah. It'll make you sad.
Just a lot. Yeah, it's a lot to process. Yeah, I find it because I look for shows to binge watch because I will binge watch things and not really pay attention to them. So I like to pick a show that has like 8 seasons. It's not necessarily good, but I can put it on in the afternoons when, because I work from home. So in the morning I'll work, like concentrate work. But by the time I'm done with lunch, I still have things to do, but I need noise. I need something like there. So I put on something stupid and it's very stupid most of the time and just binge watch the hell out of it. So yeah, something like Wentworth. And I would start something like that and then be like, no, I don't think this is what I'm looking for right now. Not for this. Not the kind of thing that I can just put on in the background and be doing other things and not worry about the plot.
I'm trying to think about what I back out of. Like, how many things do I actually abandon? And it's not a lot of things. Like, most of the time, if I start something, I'll finish it. It's got to be really, really. Oh, the last thing I remember really just I bailed out. Do you remember there was this really bad, it was like a sitcom, and I think it was Netflix, but maybe it was on Hulu. It was called The Ranch, and it had Sam Elliott and Ashton Kutcher, and then that dude.
Ashton Kutcher. I didn't watch it.
Yeah, and then that dude who was a Scientologist who raped his wife or whatever, that's what got it kicked off the air, I think.
Oh, yeah, the guy from that 70s show, Danny Masterson or whatever.
Yeah, anyway, I watched the first
That's a reason for somebody to get kicked off.
I watched the first episode of it, and it was, first off, this is I think it first aired in like 3 or 4 years ago. I don't remember exactly, but it was a bunch of one-liners with a laugh track afterwards. You know what I mean? It was like if you went back and watched the first season of Big Bang Theory now, and you would just cringe the whole time. It was like that. Except for here was the funny part. Yeah. I remember one of the one-liners or one of the really zingers they had was they riffed for 3 minutes on Shania Twain, and I was like, man, Shania Twain hasn't been a thing since 1990 something. Nobody cared. Why are you making these jokes? These jokes are stale as shit. It's like he wrote these jokes all those years ago, and he'd just been saving them, and he had to get them out there. But he would say these things, and then there'd just be this ho 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 laugh track thing that would roll afterwards, and I was like, holy shit, I can't with this. And I'll say that's a thing. If there's a show everybody's been telling me like especially if there's been a sitcom or something that people are like, oh, you needed to watch that. You never watched that. You should watch that. And if I go watch it and there's a laugh track, I'm probably not going to finish it. I cannot abide by laugh track. It's the stupidest thing. And I think it's finally. I hope to hell it's dead. I can't remember the last. Like I feel like Big Bang was probably the last comedy I watched that had laugh track, and I don't know why I watched it as long as I did because it definitely got to the point where I was sort of hate watching it at the end. I was invested. I was actually invested.
Oh yeah, no,
Does this happen to you when you start watching a comedy for the comedy, but by a couple seasons in, you're watching the comedy for the actual because you're invested in the characters, but you no longer think the show is funny, like so it's no longer a comedy. It's like a really short. I kind of care about this drama to a mild degree, but not like if they took it off the air, I probably would cry either.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. No, that's absolutely true.
That's 100%. How I felt.
All right. So I liked Big Bang for a period of time, and there's a show that I didn't binge watch because it was on regular TV. Right. And then we got rid of regular TV, so I didn't really watch it. Or I watched it on demand, but it was. Yeah, I watched it and it was really funny, and I didn't see the first few seasons, and then Mia Bialik was on the show, and I freaking love Mia Bialik because I'm Generation X and I watched Blossom, so right. I watched her entire story arc, and then it just got dumb, and then I'm like, well, now I'm not watching it anymore. This is stupid.
Right. Yeah.
So, but we have a station break. We're 20 minutes in.
Go ahead.
And so I have something. I have a station break. So a couple weeks ago, I talked about my sister's new business, Colors of Kindness, and you said describe the cards, and I didn't really have good descriptions of them. So now I have visual aids. So I want everybody to check out Colors of Kindness. Isn't that cute? On Facebook, you can even see. She uses her maiden name as her signature for her art, which is, I think it's awesome because it's my name.
That's your name.
But it's my name. Look at that. Look, you're the pineapple of my eye. I had to buy the pineapple quartet because
I see.
I like tropical things. So, and then there's this one. Be a pineapple. So I highly recommend anybody looking for handmade cards. I actually just made a huge order of Halloween cards because I'm signing up for a Halloween card exchange. And because they, you know what? Spread some cheer any way you can this year. Sign up for card exchanges. Send cards to friends. Do Christmas cards this year.
You know what? I won't say this. I do think that this quarantine thing is likely to make people start writing letters again. I used to write so many letters back in the day, like when I was in high school. I used to love correspondence. I guess it was pre-email. I guess is probably what the deal was, right? It was the only way we could communicate in the late 80s, early 90s. Not knots. By the knots, I was only emailing people. But
true. No, I had pen pals.
Yeah.
I think pen pals are a tradition that'll come back.
You think? Hopefully.
At least for kids.
I will say.
I do. I know some. I see some friends on Facebook that are looking for pen pals for their kids. So I think that's pretty cool.
That is neat. I think it's a thing that you should do. I used to write so many letters. I also used to decorate the back of envelopes with watercolors and stuff when I was in high school. So if you received your letter, it was also art. But that's a thing that I guess once email happened, I've been lucky to send Christmas cards maybe once every 5 years. I'll actually get off my ass and get them in the mail early enough to matter. Most of the time, I buy the cards about every other year, and I don't always get them in the mail in time. Sometimes I buy them and I address them all, and I don't buy any stamps, and they sit there, and then it's the third week of December, and I go, fuck it, they're not going out. Why bother, right? But one year, I remember the last time I sent cards, I sent loads of cards. I actually I made custom cards that year, And I had this picture that it's actually, if people are friends with me on Facebook, you can go to my profile pictures, and it's one of my profile pictures from the beginning of Facebook, but it's these two camels having sex. And I don't know why, but so camels are the funniest looking animals on earth anyway. And then they're in the throes of passion together. So it just looks goofy as shit. Like, it makes me smile every time I see it. I mean, even thinking about it, I'm laughing, right? Every time I see camels having laugh. So I thought it was funny, and I thought, hey, this will cheer me up. So I made Christmas cards with this image of these two camels having sex. And it said, like, it just had the two camels having sex on the front. And then when you open it up, it would say something like, while shepherds watched. Or
oh, jeez.
It came up midnight clear.
Oh, God. Oh, God. All right. So you might not be able to get those custom cards made by Colors of Kindness, but if you want to
purchase them.
but if you want to order custom cards for upcoming holidays to send to your friends, I highly recommend it. Colors of Kindness on Facebook.
Important. It's important to stay in touch with folks.
Indeed. All right, back to our regularly scheduled topic. I imagine the rest of this conversation is going to be kind of go like, "Hey, have you ever watched?" And then we say what we watched. So, what lay some shows on me?
Oh, so here's the thing I wrote down that I wanted to speak on before I get too into it and forgetting to speak on this, because that happened to me last week, I think, or the week before. There was something I meant to talk about that I never did. So one of the things I want to mention was shows that I would love to binge watch. I remember not binge watch because they're not really binge watchy shows, but they're shows I don't know. All right, well, whatever. I don't want to get too off topic. But so there's shows that I haven't seen on streaming. I've searched for them. I can't find them. And so if anybody knows if there's a service that they're on, let me know. But so I like those shows that are just vignettes.
Yes, tell us in the comments.
Yeah, I like the shows that are just vignettes because sometimes you can binge them or you can just stop whenever, right? Like, I'm talking like Black Mirror, Twilight Zone kind of stuff. But back in the 80s, when I was a kid, there were shows that if you stayed up well past midnight, there were several of these vignette, like single episode shows. There was like Ray Bradbury Theater. There was Alfred Hitchcock Presents. There was Amazing Stories. There was Tales from the Dark Side.
Amazing
that's actually what I was looking for, Tales from the Dark Side, and that's nowhere that I could find. Also, there was another one called Monsters, and it was all just monster stories. And I don't know if anybody remembers Monsters at all, but boy, I sure did love me some Monsters. That was a good show. I think it only came on maybe 2 seasons. I think you can get a DVD of it, but I don't know if I've seen it streaming anywhere, and I don't own a DVD player anymore, so I'm kind of hoping for streaming. But yeah, Tales from the Dark Side I would settle for sure. I mean, I've watched some episodes of Outer Limits and Twilight Zone because those are available on either Netflix or Hulu or Amazon or probably all of them. I don't know. I watch that crap and eat it up. I love this because I mean, most of them, they're really good short stories. They're actually written by like famous sci-fi authors. I mean, we're talking like some of them are written by like Harlan Ellison and Isaac Asimov and whoever, people like that, Philip K. Dick, whatever, so that these things are really good stories for the most part. Roald Dahl actually wrote a bunch of that kind of stuff. I used to have a book of short stories. A handful of them had been made into like Alfred Hitchcock Presents episodes or something, I think. So, anyway, I love that kind of crap because there's no commitment. Like, I can watch as many episodes as I want, but when I decide to turn it off, I'm not like, there's no cliffhanger because.
Right.
So anyway, that's a thing I would love to be able to watch. And if they had them all on, like I said, Twilight Zone and Outer Limits are on there, but I don't know about any other vignette shows.
Yeah, I have not seen them, but I wrote them down to look for them.
Okay.
There is one on Prime.
One.
Electric Dreams.
Oh.
Okay, good.
11.
Hey, that's our. Oh yes, live studio audience, Jay.
Jay's in the house with us. Jay Hicks sitting here watching us do our thing. He's over. Wait, there.
Yes, yeah, I did watch a couple episodes of the Philip K. Dick one, and I didn't 100% love it, but I could go back to it because it's vignettes, so like I wasn't missing out on anything. I could pick it up any time without feeling like I didn't know what was happening.
Sure, I've definitely got like probably 8 episodes of Black Mirror I can catch up on. Which I need to, but I have a couple of these shows that I watch with so I have shows I watch with my wife, and I have shows that I watch by myself, and I have shows that I watch with my son.
Yes.
And so Black Mirror is me and my son's jam, and so I don't watch it when he's not here because like me and him watch it together, and that's the thing we enjoy together. We watched Ozark together also. Well, we did watch Ozark together up until this season, and then like because of the pandemic, we didn't see each other for a long time, and so finally I was like, "You watch it, and I'll watch it, and we'll talk about it later," you know. So that's what we did.
Right.
Let's see.
So, are there other shows that you want to binge watch that you can't?
I don't know. I just recently somebody told me about some British show. Darn it, I don't remember the name of it now, but it's about a doctor in a small coastal town or something. I love coastal British shows.
Those shows are a dime a dozen.
Dude, so
Fish out of water.
I love British shows anyway, but if they take place in a coastal town in the UK, I love them even more because I love the coast of England. I've never been to the coast of England, but it looks beautiful in the shows.
Like a nice place.
It seems like a nice place. I would like to retire to a coastal British town or Wales. I don't care. Whatever. As long as it's on the coast, I don't give a shit. You know, what the UK it is. I do care.
I want to move to Wales.
Yeah, I don't give a shit, but I do care because I don't want to live in the coastal part of Scotland because that'd be cold as hell. Even though I enjoyed Shetland. That was a good show. Was it called Shetland? Yeah, I think so. It was a cop drama.
There was a show called Shetland, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I liked it. It was good.
Yes.
Binge watched that too.
Yes.
It's a good cop. I don't really like cop shows. I'll say this. I don't like cop shows unless they're British. And then I watch them.
like Broadchurch versus
love Broadchurch.
Grace Point. Did you happen to watch the American version?
No. Why? Why would
I don't. It's really not worth it. It still had David Tennant with a really bad American accent, and then Anna Gunn from Breaking Bad. So the cast was really good, except for the accent. But they took the story, but they changed the ending, and it was just like they did that so that people watching it wouldn't be spoiled. So it's interesting, but it's not good per se.
Okay. No, I have no interest. That sounds.
And they only made one season.
This happens to me a lot. If there's a British version of a show and an American version of the show, though, I will say I love the British show, and I'd rather watch the British version. But if I started watching the American one, and then people tell me, "Oh, that's based on a British show," and I go, "Well, I love British shows," but if I go watch, and it's like, "Well, I already kind of know the plot," like that affects me. Like I can't
see. No, you know my position on this on one show in particular, and I think you would freaking love the English version. Is The Office, and I know because you say you know what happens, but it really doesn't. It diverges so fast, and the British version is so freaking good, like way better, like heads and shoulders better than the American Office. I don't like the American Office.
We tried to start binging the American one because we finished Parks and Rec. Cringy, like. First season, Steve Carell's character, he's not funny. He's just horrible. He's just like a bad. And I realized I actually have read that they like dialed him back after a while because they realized like he was just being horrible and not being funny.
Right.
And so, and maybe the Ricky Gervais character just because he's Ricky Gervais, has that little bit of that element of kind of being like a lovable doofus or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's still awkward and sometimes hard to watch, but it's hard to watch in that funny Ricky Gervais kind of way.
Gotcha.
So, and if you tried to binge watch The Office and couldn't do it, might I recommend that you binge watch the English version instead? Because it is, and the cast on it is out of this world. It's just like if you watch Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Aunt Hilda is Dawn, who is essentially their version of what's her name, Pam, and Martin Freeman is their version of Jim, who is Tim, and I mean it's just the cast is out of this world.
Okay, and is that the guy from?
So I'm just going to say that.
Is that the guy who's on Detectress later?
The guy who's on Detectress, which is a great show, he plays the Dwight character.
Dwight character. Okay, very good. Yeah, I like that. That was actually one of my favorite shows. And
his name is Gareth.
Okay, I don't know if Detectress is streaming anywhere. Well, it is. You can I know one place
it is.
There's a service called Acorn TV that's all British shows, and so if you don't have any of those services,
it was on Hulu.
Was it? Okay. Well, I didn't know if they had the whole season. I actually downloaded Acorn.
Yeah, we watched it.
As I told you, I don't wait for things if they've aired across the pond. And Hulu had the first 2 seasons, and then when the 3rd season aired, Hulu didn't have that yet, and it probably wasn't going to get it for 3 or 4 months. So, but there was a service called Acorn, and they gave me a free trial, and I free trialed it just long enough to watch all the episodes of season 3 of Detectress. Because it's that good a show. Detectress is that good a show. That's what I would tell you.
It is. And if you like that.
And Afterlife with Ricky Gervais was a really good show too. Watch that one also. And Derek. I like Derek, although it's a little problematic. But maybe, I don't know. It's kind of
I tried to watch Derek. Yeah. Derek I found problematic and I couldn't watch it all. And I started to watch Afterlife, but it was too sad because pandemic, and I just couldn't do it.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean,
I need something lighter.
Derek, for the people at home who haven't watched it, Derek is problematic in the way that Who's Eating Gilbert Grape is problematic. In that an able person plays a disabled person. But I feel like he gives him such humanity. I don't feel like it's that problematic. You know what I mean? Like to me, like I felt like the point was he was a kind soul who loved everything and everybody, and that was what he was trying to convey. You know, which is funny because Ricky Gervais is kind of a mean asshole sometimes, but when he does,
he really is.
but when he does shows, I think he's able to put best foot forward sometimes and make you see why, what's good about humanity. Like there are these gems sometimes. There's these interactions between people that are just good. Like I think of there's this one scene. I'm not spoiling anything, but there's this one scene in Afterlife where he's basically been ribbing this office mate for most of the season. And I think it's because he thinks she's boring. Like she doesn't really like have a very good personality. And he's like, "What are you into?" And she always says like boring shit. But he at some point he finally gets to a point with her where she said that one of the things she's into, like she likes the comedy of Kevin Hart, and he thinks that's stupid. But at the same time, like, so she's got this snow globe on her desk that has nothing in it. It's like a snow globe that you can put like a picture in, but it's empty because she doesn't know what she wants to put in it. And he's at the store and he sees a magazine that's got a picture of Kevin Hart on the cover, and he buys the magazine and he cuts out the picture and puts it in the snow globe and puts it on her desk. And when she comes into work that morning and she sees it, she smiles. And that's the kind of shit. That's the kind of shit that makes you go, "Oh shit, I can't believe that's Ricky Gervais. That asshole Ricky Gervais did that."
Right.
Human moment there that made you smile, that made you go, "Oh, people can be people." I mean, if this pandemic is kind of showing you people can be dicks, but sometimes people are not dicks, and that's what why you haven't killed yourself yet, probably.
And so I do want to mention, if we're on the topic of Ricky Gervais and his, if anybody is looking for a show to binge watch, and I don't know where it is, I think it's on HBO. So I think you should find it on like HBO Max or Go or Now or whatever's currently available. Is his show Extras, which I thought was one of the funniest shows on TV, but it's also really sweet. Like apparently Ricky Gervais has a very sweet side because all of his shows have heart. The Office does too. Has that little bit of heart, which I think that's what I think was missing from the American version of The Office, because it was just sitcom, whereas the British version has a lot of heart.
Well, that happens in a lot of British shows too. For me, I think there's always this, because they don't have a hard stop between drama and comedy. I feel like they have shows that are just like, here's people living. And sometimes it's sad, and sometimes it's funny, and sometimes there's a little bit of heart. And I get that more out of their shows than I do out of ours, which is why I watch a lot of British shows, because at the end you kind of you have this warm fuzzy, like I said with Detectorists, you kind of you felt good watching it, right? Like it made you happy. Yes, I don't know.
Exactly.
So
I'm currently watching a few shows, and I have not finished them. So I guess technically I'm not binge watching them, but I am watching them faster than you would if they aired on network television. Two shows that I really want to mention specifically in these, uncertain times, that having nice, lighthearted shows to watch helps. And if you have not watched either of these shows, although I think we're very late coming to one of them, that everyone should. And one is Schitt's Creek, which we were very late to that party, but it is so rewarding. And we're in like season 3 or something. And it's hilarious and it's perfect. And it's Eugene Levy at his best, plus his son. So if you haven't watched it, watch it. It's on Netflix. And the other one that's also on Netflix that we recently discovered, and it's actually, Matt said the other day, it was probably the most kind, lighthearted, sweet show that we watched since The Detectorists, is Kim's Convenience. And it's a Canadian show, and it's definitely worth watching.
Okay. Yeah, I've
put those on your list.
I'm way behind. I'm way behind on Schitt's Creek. I did not watch it because the trailers for it made it look like a Wes Anderson movie, and I hate Wes Anderson movies, and so
and it's so not.
Okay, well, so that's how the trailers kind of like they made me think it was like like Rushmore or what was that, Daydream something, or I don't know, Moondream something. I don't know. Those movies made me go to sleep. Like Corner Gas.
Right. So Albert asks, is it like Corner Gas, which is another Canadian show that I tried to watch and I did not like. Kim's Convenience I loved from the start. It's very sweet. So I don't know exactly how to compare them. I do know that they're both Canadian comedies that take place in convenience stores. So apparently they're correct. They're similar in some manner. But definitely, and Bill, I know that you and your son like to watch kind of horror-y stuff, scary stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know the level at which you like to watch scary stuff, but I have recommended to you before, and it's now on Netflix, so I think everybody should watch it, but it is heavy, so you might not be able to binge watch it like literally episodes at a time, is Hannibal.
Okay.
It is the most amazing show about human beings you could ever watch. It is beautiful. And it is well worth watching.
Okay. Well, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, I own the cookbook. I bought the cookbook because it was awesome.
All right. Yeah, no.
And yes, there is a cookbook. So.
No. Is it called To Serve Man?
It is not, but it's the food stylist, and she actually does have recipes. I mean, it's a lot of pictures from the show because the food was amazing, and obviously on the show the food was ostensibly various people, but which is not a spoiler because everyone knows the story of Hannibal Lecter, so that's not a spoiler. But but mostly it's for the photography because it's beautiful, but there are fun stories from the show, and then the recipes. And I have made some things out of it using animal products, not human products. So,
Okay.
as I was told to in the cookbook. Right. But we actually used to host. So Hannibal was on network TV amazingly, because I don't know how the hell that passed network television.
Yeah.
It was on NBC. And I don't know what they were thinking when they greenlit that. But we did watch it on TV. And I want to watch it again, but it's heavy. So we would host Hannibal brunch, Hannah brunch. And our friend Sarah would come over and watch it with us. Because I couldn't watch it at night when it aired. Like, I had to watch it the next day in the daylight because it was pretty creepy. So, but it's well worth it, and it's so gorgeous.
Okay. Yeah, there's sometimes there are things that I'll start to watch, and if they're really dark, I'll be like, yeah, no, I'm gonna watch that tomorrow during the daylight, because I'm not gonna watch that and be able to go to bed tonight.
Exactly. Exactly.
There's things, once in a while that I'm like, I'll start to watch them. I'm like, nah, that's going to perturb me. I can't. Trying to think, I will say this. I don't know whether it's on. Another thing, I don't know if it's on a streaming service. X-Files, though, if it is, it was good for a minute.
Yeah, I think the new X-Files was on something.
I don't watch the new X-Files. I'm not a fan of. Okay, so don't resurrect a thing after it's been gone for a decade or more. I don't care. I'm over it. I got over it. It's gone. Let it go. It's zeitgeist. What's that stuff when you bring it back? It's like it doesn't work again because it worked in the zeitgeist of when it happened. The 90s were a different time than now. So I'll be honest with you, I didn't watch any of the new X-Files episodes because mostly because the last 3 times I tried to do this kind of thing where I went and watched one of these, like, we're bringing this back. I'm like, it was just awful. And I had a bad. So at this point, by the time they brought X-Files and Twin Peaks both, when they brought this back, I was like, sorry, it's done. I'm out. Like,
I didn't bother with Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
I didn't bother with Twin Peaks, but with X-Files, what I will say is it was bad. It was actually genuinely bad. But what I would recommend, just like all the other seasons of X-Files, is there's always one show that's directed by this one guy that I can't remember his name. That's always like the funny kind of meta episode.
Yeah.
And they did, because they did 2 seasons, right, of the Resurrected X-Files. So there were 2 episodes directed by this guy. Okay. Just like the old times, and they were worth watching. So don't watch anything else. Just watch those 2 episodes.
You're talking about
they're hilarious.
The same guy who directed the episode Jose Young's From Outer Space, which is my favorite episode of X-Files of all time. And actually, he did not direct.
Yeah, he did.
So my second favorite episode of X-Files of all time is called Small Potatoes, which he did not direct, but he was in. He was actually the Monster of the Week person in that one.
Nice.
But I can't remember his name now. But I know who you're talking about because I remember reading.
I can't either.
I can't. Behind the scenes of X-Files, and it told all these stories, and But yeah, he's a really good writer. I get you, and actually, what's funny? We were talking about,
and he did all those very specific episodes.
And Breaking Bad is
right, which is Vince Gilligan,
who also was involved in the X-Files. So he does good work.
Right.
There's good work there. I remember it fondly.
Yes. But yeah, watch those 2 episodes. But we are closing in on the end of the show, and I know we could talk about this. Might be another show that we break out like genres of shows or like whole series, like a whole X-Files discussion that we could do in the future. So. But in the meantime, we have a few minutes, about 10 minutes left, and we have some things we need to take care of. So I do have a small mailbag question that I think you might actually already know because this person asked you already, but then they told me they asked you already, and I said, we should have saved that for mailbag. So I'm going to ask you again on the air. What are your thoughts about pontoon boats?
Oh, pontoon boats. Yeah, I'm okay with pontoon boats because So yeah, the person who asked this is Laura's partner Matt, who we were talking briefly the other night because my wife has gone through this phase of hanging out at someone's lake house to eat a lake house to we're selling our house and getting a lake house. To which I was like, no. When we bought our last house, I was told this was the last house we'd ever live in. So I'm sticking to that. Sorry. I said, you have to get lake house money now.
To have a second house.
Yes, you're going to have to buy a second house, which is kind of a boomer thing to do. Like, we're probably not going to do that realistically. But then last week it switched to, they're a thing called houseboats, and they just park in a marina, and I would be happy with that. And I'm like, well, great, because those are cheaper. Get one of those. So, but there's two kinds of boats. There's boats with a hull, which is normally made out of fiberglass. I mean, but if it's wood or fiberglass, it's still hulls need a certain amount of maintenance, and that's aggravating, right? So that's it's problematic. Everybody I've ever known with a boat has hassles. Like, the boat becomes a money pit. But pontoon boats seem to not be a money pit because they're just like these two aluminum tubes that hold the boat up, right? That's essentially it. And most houseboats,
they're basically giant rafts.
Yeah. So most houseboats, I think, are on the aluminum pontoons, like a pontoon boat. I'm okay with pontoon boats because they're relatively maintenance free aside from whatever might go wrong with the motor. That's the other. You got the two issues with most boats: of the hull and the motor, right? You're probably still going to have to maintain the motor,
right,
but at least you don't have to worry about the thing sinking. So there's that. You got that going for you. Pontoon boats are also they're basically a deck that you can drive around on, and you can do whatever you can do on a deck on a pontoon boat. And I actually sent Matt in response to his question. There are these. I don't know what his plans exactly were, but I know you guys are into tiki culture and tiki bars. And they actually make these things that are just tiki bars on a pontoon boat, and you can just drive a tiki bar out the lake, you know. And I mean,
I am in for it.
There's some that just look like a pontoon boat that it's been decorated with raffia, but I actually saw one today when I was sending them to Matt, and it's like an octagon. It's like an octagon shaped deck that has a little tiki hut in the middle of it, and it drives out into the water, and it's like, this is the stupidest looking thing, but at the same time, like, I'm totally down, right? Like, it's a tiki bar out in the water,
right? My question is, does the tiki bar pontoon boat come with a bartender? Because I mean, I can make a couple cocktails, but why would I want to do that when someone can make cocktails for me?
Right, the captain /
Plus, it's always good to have a designated driver.
Yeah,
exactly.
Captain and the bartender, same guy. He's Gopher and Captain McCloud. Right?
Exactly.
Whatever.
Exactly. That's exactly.
Okay,
so, all right. So, I think that's the deal. That's our tiki bar pontoon boat, and I don't know the end game for the pontoon boat question either. So, stay tuned. They might tell y'all. I do not.
All right.
So. Things that are extra. Bill Perkins, what is extra this week?
So what's extra this week is I had this experience recently, and I mean, I've had this experience 1,000 times in my life, but recently it's become more of a pain in the butt because, you go to the store now and you've got your mask on and you're trying to get in and out because, you don't want to be there because people, and things. Anyway, so you're just trying to get your stuff and get out. But this is always problematic to me. I've hated it forever. But you go to the store and you're just trying to get through the aisles and get to the thing you want. And there's always this one person, and they're like the kind of person who seems to like take up the entire aisle, and they're just like they do this. Like, you can't figure out how to bob and weave around them. You know what I'm saying? Like they're just and they're taking forever, and you can't go around them. And so I hate that, or they're walking two abreast with like them and their family member or their friend or whatever. It's either way, it's taking up the whole damn place, and you can't get past them, and it's a problematic thing. And I just want to get in and out and get my stuff done and go home. So that's aggravating. But then that made me think the other day when it happened, because there was a dude doing that to me. He was like, blocking my way down the aisle, and it was frustrating. And I said to my wife after a minute or two, I was like, hey, here's a word for you, Neanderthal.
I love it.
Yeah, so it's like, that's, and you know what's funny? So I was thinking about that after that came to me, like, oh, that's a funny word. Because sometimes I'll come up with words like that, like a word, because it's totally a thing about
sniglet, as it were.
Right, you saw where I was going with it. I was going to say we need to bring back sniglets, which, if you don't recall, comedian Rich Hall had a segment on Not Necessarily the News on HBO back in like 1987 called Sniglets. And a sniglet is any word that's not in the dictionary but should be. And so it's basically when you come up with words for things that there's not a word for now. However, I will say this. I've thought for years, like, they should bring back sniglets. They should bring back sniglets. But then I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? Urban Dictionary is essentially sniglets, right? Like,
it's true.
It kind of is. I mean, although it's kind of like, so it's a little bit different because it's Urban Dictionary is like slang. It's like hip kid slang, but also some sniglets thrown in. Whereas, sniglets were like a little more, I don't know, like they almost had they had an etymology almost. Like you could tell, like it was like a pun. It was like two words put together that meant a thing or something. So I felt like they were a little wittier than
right.
There are things on Urban Dictionary that are sniglets. And there are things in Urban Dictionary that's just, crap kids say, like back in our day, it would have been skeezer or something like that. So anyway.
Right. Exactly.
Got me on a tangent.
I love it. I do think we should bring back sniglets. But bring it back to the topic of the show, one of my all-time favorite shows that I've actually watched while it aired and binge watched several times, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. There's a whole episode that mentioned, there's a whole joke about text emergency and textastrophe, where you accidentally send a text to the wrong person. They call it both. Right. And the joke is that both words work, and they've submitted it already to Urban Dictionary. So it was funny to me. So watch Crazy.
They didn't put Rich Hall for the next edition of Sniglets, though.
They did not, because I do love me some Rachel Bloom, but she is fully millennial. Yeah, she's 100% millennial. I don't know that she would be into that. But all right, that's it. That is our show this week. So that is, we'd like to thank our live studio audience, Jay Hicks, for hanging out while we were on the show, bring his 2 cents in. All right, so that's it for the show. Bill, take us away.
Yeah, so as always, Bill Has Opinions is engineered and produced by Laura Lavoie. The opinions of Bill are those of him and him alone, except for the ones that she nods in agreement with, and the ones that she likes are hers, I guess. And then, sometimes we agree. I don't know. That's it.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, but don't forget.
That's it. All right. Like
all that good stuff. Leave a comment.
Yes. Like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, join us on Patreon. We do still have a Patreon, so join us. And share our content. People can watch our show even if it's not live. So share it with your friends.
Tell people, here's the thing to binge watch. You bored? Watch this stupid thing.
We have 18 episodes.
Right. Yeah, you're going to be able to.
As many episodes as some British comedies.
That's right. This is like 3 seasons of a British show.
Exactly. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We are out. Have fun. Good night.
Cheers.